Is Throne and Liberty good? Is Throne and Liberty worth playing? Well, that depends. After about 100 hours of playing the game, I've come up with the best possible description for who should play this game, and you're gonna want to think big.
What is this? A center for ants?
We're gonna cover leveling, in-game, PvP, PvE, and the pros and cons. Let's begin. Leveling. I got from 1 to 50 in about 20 hours, which is relatively slow compared to some of the speedrunners in the game who did it in 3 hours. I took my time figuring out how the systems work, exploring the world for the first time, and learning how to get this damn egg. Oh. Bro, I almost just landed it from the top of that. The hell was that? I just teleported. The main story quest is the fastest way to level, and it will carry you most of the way until you see this message. Get to level blank to unlock the next main story quest. Then you have to do side quests in order to level up so you can continue the main quest line again. Of course, I figured this out and was able to knock out these side quests no problem. I need to get on his back. Do you think I could land on the wing or something? I want to go now before I miss my opportunity. Oh, I made it! After about 20 hours of side quests and main story, I hit level 50.
What do we do now? What do you mean? Now we can finally play the game.
The endgame is a bit overwhelming with how complex the gearing system is in the game, but after a few hours of watching Cannon's videos, I was finally able to simplify it down. You do world bosses whenever they're available, you do your dungeons until you're out of dungeon tokens, you do contracts until you're out of contract tokens, and then you farm the open world dungeons for more loot. After you do all that, you should have some items, but the problem is that these items are only level 1 and have a single trait on them. You need to get all of your items to level 9 with 3 rank 4 traits. So how do you get all your items to level 9 with 3 rank 4 traits? Well, first you have to loot all of your BIS items one time. Then you use growth stones to level those items to 9. And then you need to start working on your traits. You need to loot items with the trait that you need and then smash them into the gear that you have equipped. Every time you smash a trait that you need into the gear you have equipped, that trait gets transferred. You'll need to do this until you have 3 traits on every item at rank 4, which means you need to loot your best trait 11 times on an epic item or 110 times with blue items and then smash them in to your items. And that's per item, by the way. It takes a long time to farm full BIS in this game, so you kind of always have something to do. And if you loot a piece of gear that someone else needs, you can extract the trait from it, sell that on the auction house, and you can make lucent, which is the currency that you can buy. And that's why some people say this game is pay to win, because you can either farm the gear or you could buy it. But some of the gear costs a lot of money, and that gets pretty pricey.
Hey, fellas! Look what I found in my pocket! Look! A year's salary right here!
I think it could be cool to have a system like this in WoW, where if you loot an SGC more than one time, you could smash it into your other one for a chance at extra stats. But maybe that's just the degen in me speaking. One thing that's very similar to WoW in this game is the vault system, where you complete tasks along the week and that unlocks slots in your vault. At the start of the week, the vault opens and you get to pick a piece of gear from the vault that you want. And I thought that this game did that very well. PvP is the true endgame of Throne and Liberty, and there's a few options. Arena has just one map, and it changes a bit as the match goes on, and anyone with a sword can stun you for like 10 seconds and kill you while you're on the ground. Healers and tanks are also pretty OP in every version of the game. Pure DPS classes feel a bit lackluster, and you're going to be pretty much dead the majority of your time unless you're just rolling over your opponents. World PvP is a massive Zerg fest, and the best way to do World PvP is to recruit as many degens as possible into your guild who play 12 to 15 hours a day, get BIS gear before anyone else, and you can just completely stomp all of your opponents at the contested world bosses. I personally was playing this game more casual, so I opted out of all the contested world PvP, because if I did participate, I just would have been dead the whole time. No! Gear is a massive difference in this game as well. I wasn't able to beat anybody that had full traits on their gear. I pretty much just got stomped by every class. No amount of skill is going to help you in this game either, so gear plus numbers equals win. There's a lot of pros and cons in this game. This is such a beautiful game. The art team did a kick-ass job, and I love playing this game. And I honestly just kind of look forward anytime I get onto a piece of high ground and just sort of stare off into the distance. As far as the story goes, I couldn't tell you what the main story is about in this game, but there were a bunch of really cool short stories that reminded me of short animes. It gave you a little bit of the lore of the people that you were helping, the NPCs that you were helping in the game, and there was like one guy who killed an entire army by himself. That was really badass. Oh, and this Harry Potter dude. And this is going to sound a little bit controversial, but any MMO nowadays with no DPS meter is tough for me because of how long I've been playing World of Warcraft. I don't necessarily care to see other people's damage, but at least let me see how my own DPS is so I can figure out if I'm getting better or not, or if my build is worse or better, if I'm trying to min-max for PvE. However, all the PvE content in this game is pretty easy, so DPS doesn't really matter that much. I guess I can see why they're not in the game. One kind of bad thing is you can't switch weapons in this game very easily, so you're pretty much locked into your weapon choice from the beginning. There might be a way for you to pay to swap your experience or mastery from one weapon to another, but all the guides pretty much told me to just lock in your weapons from the beginning and don't ever swap. Another pro in this game is that all the characters in this game are really hot. I mean, that could be a pro or a con for you. I'm just gonna leave that there. By far the best feature of this game is the guild hall. You get an instance arena area where you can 1v1 people in your guild or have like small skirmishes, 3v3s, or even free-for-alls inside of the guild hall. And this is a feature that I feel like every MMO needs, in my opinion. It's a spot to bring your guildmates together to hang out. And what better way to make friends than dueling and beating the crap out of each other? This leads me to my next point. This game has no progression PvE content. As an MMO player who primarily raid leads for content, it was difficult for me to get into this game. I was playing the highest damage build in the game, crossbow dagger, and I felt like I was doing good damage in PvE, but I also didn't feel like it was needed because you could pretty much clear any of the content with any group. In large scale world PvP, my role was essentially just to run in, spin to win, and then die, and they called my class a bomber. So the majority of my world PvP gameplay experience I would be spending dead. I probably could have gotten into arenas and small form PvP if I found a solid team, but I would have needed to put several weeks into the gearing process before I could even start doing that, and ultimately that led me to saying, you know what, I had a great time leveling up, checking out the end game, and understanding the system so far, but this is probably about as far as I want to go as a casual Throne and Liberty player. Butterfly, nice fish. So at that point, I decided to just call it there and go back to WoW. My closing thoughts on this game is that this game has phenomenal combat, amazing graphics, and a solid leveling experience. At the end of the game, if you want to min-max, you're going to need to join a top guild and probably play Throne and Liberty as your main game and put a bunch of hours into it every day. Once you get full level 9 epic gear with 3 of your BIS rank 4 traits on every item, then you can really start playing the game and getting the most out of it. If you don't have the time to commit or the money, I would still recommend you play this game casually for fun for a few days, check it out, and to see if you want to continue playing it long term. The gearing and upgrading was my favorite part of this game, and I think it offers a fantastic play loop at endgame, which gives consistent dopamine hits every time you loot a new piece of gear or open a box at the end of a dungeon. In the future, I would love to see some in-game progression PvE content added into the game, and that would probably bring me back 100%. As someone who doesn't really enjoy PvP that much in MMOs, this game was just really not for me long term. That's it for my 100 hours playthrough of Throne and Liberty. This is a game I was not even thinking about playing, and it just blew up all over the internet, and everyone was saying how great it is, and I'm so glad I decided to check it out. If you like these videos, please hit subscribe, and check me out on twitch.tv/Shardako. I'll see you next time. Get on!